Hey, so in this video, we are going to talk about the analysis of quotes for nonfiction writing. It's how to use and write about quotes in your writing. So please pay attention so you can learn how to be effective when using quotes in writing, especially for nonfiction. So first off, why even use quotes? The most important thing that you're going to do, why you use quotes, is that you are going to support the point that you are trying to make. You're going to support it, you're going to emphasize it. None of us are experts at most of the things that we're writing about in school. That's why we're learning about them, because we're not experts, so we're trying to learn. So it's really important that you use things that experts have said in order for you to support your point. Otherwise, why should anyone listen to you if you're not an expert and you don't have anything from experts? So that's the main reason that we need to get information from other places, is because we are not experts, but we're still trying to make a point. So we need to get information from other people and places. So these are the steps to using a quote. First step, you need to find a really good piece of evidence. You need to think of what you're trying to prove. You also don't want to take too much or too little. A couple words is probably not going to cut it. Also, you don't ever want to take a whole paragraph. You need to find just the amount of words that is going to be helpful for you. You also need to copy it exactly. You can't move words around or anything like that. If you do take something out, you have to use those three little dots called an ellipsis to show that you did take something out. You also need to know who said it or wrote it, because you're going to have to cite it. So let's pretend that I am trying to prove that I am an effective teacher. That's what I'm trying to prove. So I found on the Central Middle School website, I found a piece of text, and they said that Karen Hogan has been a teacher for more than 5 years. So I took that text, exactly what they said there. And when I mean said, I didn't mean that somebody actually said that out loud. A quote doesn't have to be something that someone actually verbally says or dialogue. It just means that it's something that you did not write. So I found that on the website and I took it. You can see that I put the ellipsis at the end there because I didn't, I took a little bit out. So that's step one. Step two, you're going to introduce that quote. You can't just throw a quote in your writing. That is not an effective way to do anything at all. It'll confuse your reader and it won't help you prove your point at all. So you're going to introduce your quote. So here are some really good sentence starters that are going to help you introduce that quote. So you could say, for example, X means, whoever said the quote. So Central Middle School states or believes, discusses, examines, suggests, and then you put your quote and you have your page number at the end. You can also say, according to Central Middle School. Or writing in the text, Central Middle School observes, or discusses, or states, or in Central Middle School's view, all those things. Now look, that you always have to have a comma before you put your quote in there. You're going to use quotation marks, and then you're going to put the page number at the end and a period finally at the end. So for our example here, according to the Central Middle School website, comma, quotation marks, Karen Hogan has been a teacher for more than 5 years. Put my ellipsis at the end because I took something out, quotation marks, space, and then my page number that I found that on in parentheses, and then the period at the end. My next step is I'm going to paraphrase it. That means you're going to put it in your own words. You probably don't talk like the expert that you found it from, and so you're going to put it in your own words. It's going to help your reader, and it's also going to help you understand it more. So there's some sentence starters up here too. So you could say, in other words, Central Middle School, and then I have pick a verb. Down on the bottom, there's all these verbs to pick from. Agrees, disagrees, argues, believes, discusses. And that verb depends on what they're actually doing in that quotation. You could say the essence of Central Middle School's argument is that. Or in making this comment, Central Middle School emphasizes that. Or Central Middle School's point is that. And remember that X is whoever you got the quote from. So in our example here, we have, in making this comment, Central Middle School emphasizes that Karen has been a teacher for several years. I paraphrased it in my own words. Step 4 is when you're going to analyze that quote. And that is the really high level thinking where you're going to be thinking about that quote. You want to, justify or judge or predict or evaluate and conclude. That's what you're doing with the quote. So some sentence starters here. This shows that. This is an example of blank because, as evidenced by this, one can conclude from this that. Such a statement proves. It can be hypothesized from this that. This obviously justifies that. If this is true, then it must be true that. Okay? Those are some sentence starters. They're going to help you really analyze your quote in a higher level thinking manner. So with our example here, it can be hypothesized from this that Karen Hogan's teaching experience has made her into a quality teacher. So you see how me analyzing the quote goes back to my point that I was trying to make. Remember way at the beginning, I was trying to make the point of that Karen Hogan was a quality teacher. I found a quote that did that. I introduced the quote. I paraphrased the quote. Now I've analyzed the quote back to prove my point. Everything needs to go back to proving your point. So remember, you need to get a quote that actually proves your point. It needs to be on topic. You need to introduce that quote and cite it with who said it and the page number. Then you're going to paraphrase that quote by putting it in your own words. Then lastly, you're going to explain that quote at a higher level of thinking that helps you go back to prove your point. Depending on what you're doing, you might also want to add a topic sentence before step 1. And you might also want to add a conclusion sentence at the end. So that is how you use quotes in nonfiction.